como si nada.
You like conejito de polvo? Conejito de polvo. ¿Qué onda, primos, primas, y prime? Elia, damn, this is, you know what? It's like the other one. Look at that, primos. It's the start of a new season. And Elia's just right on point.
That's how you know we're ready. It took us a few weeks to percolate, and it's the giggles that tell you the coffee's ready.
December, January,
like almost
February.
2 months.
Yeah, more than a couple days. Yeah.
Yeah, at least one night.
I should mention I'm not super great with numbers or time, so.
But here we are, primos. Again, I'll try to restart the show here to get back in my rhythm, dust it off here. But ¿qué ondas, primos, primas, and primes? And welcome back to my Primos podcast. My name is Freddie. And with me tonight, of course, is my primo and yours. We have Kevin Garcia.com.
Say what's up, Kevin. What's up, Kevin? See, that's why we have the intro, so you don't have to hear me say what's up, Kevin, every time.
True. And that intro, I want to thank, of course, my prima that I feel we had a connection when we had her on the show forever ago. And she joined and made this a much more star-studded affair. We have Miss Elia Maria Spice Illustrations. Welcome. And say what's up, Elia.
Hey, what's up, Elia? No, it's not cool when I do it. It's not cool when I do it, though.
No, it's cool. Then it makes it, Freddie, you're the odd one out. You need to do it too.
Ooh, I am. I'm the one that doesn't interrupt. I'm the one that,
Say what's up, Freddie.
I can't. Say what's up, Freddie. I can't do it. It's not me.
Right.
I think, but this show here, is, of course, if this is your first time tuning in, is the primos, primas, and primes just joining up. 3 of us, 4 of us, sometimes 5 of us here chatting about pop culture, and of course, from a Latine perspective. So I want to welcome any new listeners or new viewers, because we are now going more video route. And I want to appreciate everybody that has been listening since the beginning. This is our 7th season. This is the season of Chikume, which Chikume couldn't be here today, but he will. We'll be back. And I'm excited, guys. I'm really pumped. And we took a break. And Primos, just to get it out of the way, kind of the usual, of course, you guys can follow us at My Primos Podcast. And of course, visit myprimospodcast.com. Check out our posts, all our socials, and stay in touch.
But can I just say that I'm really happy that we're on video sometimes, because I want you all to know I am wearing pants.
I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Well, we're I
could be kidding, or am I?
Yeah, that's true. None of us could have legs. They don't know.
You know what? That'd be crazy. But you know what's crazy about video? I have to worry about the lighting situation, and I have to have 2 or 3 points of light, and the shadows not being so hard, and so and I wear a hat too, so it does cast a shadow.
Oh yeah.
You have an underlight, don't you? It came out good.
I do. I have a light. Yeah. See, I have a light this way.
So for you listeners,
I have a light here.
Freddie looks good.
Yeah.
I wear dope hats. So there you go.
Yeah.
With that one.
They are indeed.
Actually, this is the first,
as the kids say, dope.
This is the first hat that I actually started collecting. My sister gave it to me. It has the it's like the Lakers, Dodgers kind of vibe going on, and I'm from LA originally, so that was my sister bought this for me, and it kind of started me down that path where now I have dozens and dozens of hats, different colors, and
can I just say that I just said a minute ago that I have difficult concepts with time. Sometimes I will reference things that I was not alive for. So when you said, LA Dodgers, my brain went, you mean the Brooklyn Dodgers?
You're not that old, Kevin.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. It's it makes no sense. I can't tell you how many times I've been through Vegas, and I'm like, look, it's the Boulder Dam, and they're like, no, it's the Hoover Dam, and I'm like,
oh, Peepaw.
Come on, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, you have a beard for a reason, I guess, man. Look at that. Father time. But it's been a few months. We took the winter off to kind of just regroup and rebuild and just kind of get re-energized. So I'm excited. I'm glad we're here, Primos. And I wanted to take a moment, of course. I already gave you my spiel of what the show is about, but for those that don't know and you're new here, I want to let my co-hosts kind of give themselves a little breathing room and kind of talk about themselves a little bit. Ellie, let's start with you. Let the listeners know, in case they're new, and the viewers, about you a little bit.
Yeah, so my name is Elia Maria, Elia for short. I'm an illustrator and cartoonist based in Dallas. I like drawing animations, comics, just anything that brings a smile to people's face. I'm a total anime nerd. That's my main like pop
All the
culture.
way.
Yeah, all the
Okay.
way, man.
How many pieces of you would you say are anime fans?
Wait, what?
How many pieces of you would you say are anime fans? Is it just one piece, or is
He's
it
trying
more?
too hard. He's trying too hard. He's trying too hard. All of me, all of us.
I am the One Piece.
That's where. There you go.
No, yeah, I get most of my inspiration in my work from anime series, as well as like just silly anime. I love animation, and I hope I can create some fun things that not just display my love for humor, but la cultura.
Elia, then I'll put you on the spot. What are your top 3 anime right now? Go.
Oh my God, One Piece #1, because I'm obsessed with it right now. I love Food Wars. I give that one a good rewatch
Sexy Food
every
Wars.
now and then. And Azumanga Daioh is top classic. Like, we'll go back and rewatch the whole thing in one go just for funsies. I love a good slice of life anime. So
good list there. Good mix.
Yeah.
Good variety. Well, Kevin Garcia, tell everybody about yourself and the .com. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm Kevin. I am a high school teacher by day and freelance writer.
By night.
Sometimes freelance writer, but the rest of the time, I guess. I've been writing now for over 25 years, professionally writing. Newspapers. I worked for Marvel Comics for a while. I've been paid to read comic books by Disney, so I can officially put on my business card professional comic book historian. Fully feel justified in that.
Kind of a flex, professional comic book reader.
It's fun to say that it happened, yeah. And worked there for 10 years. And I also talk at Comic Cons a lot. I do a lot of talks. I'm often the host for celebrity Q&As and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And you got a TikTok popping off.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Where are we now? What's your TikTok follower count now?
8,700. But like I can't do certain things with the app until I hit 10,000.
I know.
Guys, it's been our ongoing mission for about a season or so that we need to get Kevin Garcia to 10,000 followers. So find Kevin _Garcia. Is that it, Kevin?
No. So just like you always, it's not. You always call me KevinGarcia.com. It's the same thing. It's Kevin Garcia _com.
Literally in front of me, Kevin Garcia _com.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I did type in KevinGarcia.com the other day just to see. And I'm calling shenanigans, sir. It did not work.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I've been told I need to fix my certificate, whatever that is. I honestly, I don't know how to do that. I am like the least tech savvy guy I know. I've been called a Luddite. So the fact that the one social media that I use is TikTok is insane.
I know that like early too, like really early.
Yeah. Well, no. I got on TikTok a year ago. That's not early for TikTok. That's in the elder years for TikTok.
The elder years.
I remember TikTok was just people dancing to funny songs, and then it just became a whole different thing.
I mean, it still can be.
Yeah, I started TikTok during the pandemic when everyone was like, "No, this used to be Musically." I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm here for the vibes.
Hey, well, now here we are. Now most of the music is gone from TikTok, so there you go.
I know.
Exactly. It is now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Universal Music Group and TikTok are in a disagreement. So a lot of the songs that used to be with videos,
it's all been pulled, man. Just don't worry about it. Well, Kevin,
half my videos got muted.
All right, put me on the spot.
I know. Comic books, that's your thing. Marvel specifically would say you're pretty well versed. Is that fair to say?
Okay.
Top 3 superheroes.
Top 3 superheroes. Well, I'm going to give you 2 from Marvel and then 1 other for a reason I'll get to in a second.
Okay.
Let's see. My number 1 superhero and number 1 supervillain has been for many years Namor, and I'm sticking with that one. First superhero to fly, first superhero to be an anti-hero, really. He was the reason the Marvel Universe exists. There were not any crossovers, so the other heroes had to deal with him, so he's definitely my top. After that, it gets a little bit tricky. It depends on the week, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it goes on like that. It's when it says it's hard to pick your favorite child. You know what I mean?
Mm, mm.
One of my favorite recent books just completed was called Marvel Unleashed, and it was all about Marvel's pets as superheroes. So basically, it's like if a superhero ever had a pet, they get to team up and go fight crime together. And that comic book will make you cry. I kid you not.
Oh.
Seek it out. It is that good. From issue 1, I was like, "Oh, you're going to do it, aren't you?" Oh man, it is funny. It is sad. It needs read. Now,
Oh, dang.
Marvel Unleashed. Look for it. And the other one I was going to say, because you brought up Azumanga Daioh, I was going to say the one manga that I recommend every single person read. I'm not a big manga reader. I enjoy manga. I enjoy anime, but I'm not a big reader. But the one manga I bought every single volume of, and I suggest other people seek out, is called Yotsuba, and because it's Yotsuba, the little ampersand, and then an exclamation point. So I pronounce it as Yotsuba and because that feels right.
Yeah, for real.
It's from the creator of Azumanga Daioh, and it's just the entire thing is the world as seen through the eyes of a 4-year-old, and everything is amazing to her. And it's like, I have not seen anybody who's read the little 10-page chapters in that and not laughed out loud while reading it.
Mm-hmm.
It is another one of those that goes for the heartstrings, but in the best possible way. It's so cute, so good.
Yeah.
Wow. No.
Yeah. No,
definitely.
I agree.
Well, I don't work for Marvel. I don't draw.
All right.
But I am a writer. I am writing a comic book here shortly. I'm writing a couple comic books, actually.
That's a flex.
Yeah,
flex right there.
Because I ain't no writer.
I'm a writer. But my big thing is I've grown up and love, just a fan of pop culture in general, comic books, films, music. I'm a bit of a music snob. Like I am that guy. I'll own it. Like I
respect it.
had a friend tell me that he would watch a TV show or a YouTube channel of me sitting on top of a mountain with headphones on, and it's like Freddie on Indie Mountain, because no one's ever heard of this song, but I do, and I know it's better than half the things you listen to. But that in movies, I'm a big fan of that. I love anime. I consume it all.
Yeah.
And to kind of hit each one of those for you, my favorite anime, Cowboy Bebop. I love the series.
Classic.
I love the manga as well. And we're looking at comic books. I think The Wicked and the Divine is one of my favorite series.
Now, before you get to music, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I want you to give us your top 3 indie bands that we have not heard of.
Yes. Challenge.
Well, I mean, if we've heard of it, you haven't failed the challenge. I just want to know ones that you think people haven't heard of that they should have heard of,
Okay. I would say the Schulz, Chulls. The Schulz, very good. Kind of like garagey, something like the Vines, the Hives during that era.
Yeah, definitely.
That kind of vibe.
I can vibe with that.
She's blowing up a lot more now, but I would say Lola Young. She's not in a band. She's just a vocalist. Okay. She's great. She's from the UK. Had a single come out called Conceited. Love it. It's a pop jam, but not well known. Lola Young. And I've been recently I think they're called the McCharmleys. They're Latino band from LA, and they do a lot of covers from the 60s. And they have their own energy, their own vibe as well, like a surfer rock. So those would be my 3 indie bands, if I had to give you one.
I like it. Well, no, I mean, because I always say I love music, but I don't follow it. So very I have to have people introduce me to stuff for me to really get into it. I have a playlist. It's short. It's only got 111 hours of music on it. So it definitely could use more. And I take suggestions.
Dang. I'm a geek, man. I'm a geek.
Same. I love music.
Vinyl stuff. I love music, and I've even gone down rabbit holes of you might like this, and they sound like this, and they sound like that, and I just go down the whole thing, man. I love music.
Love it.
Love it.
Just yesterday, somebody asked me if I had a record player, and I was like, of course.
Yeah, of course. And I love my son. He's 14 now, and we'll talk about music, and it's it drives me crazy. He hasn't hit that point. You guys tell me, and we'll move on to other topics here, but there's a point in everybody's life, right, where media, let's use media as an example, music for me, film for some, books for some, cartoon, whatever, anime, that it hits you at the right time in your life, in your youth. and that just kind of springboards you into that whole world.
You know what? It reminds me of my brother. My closest brother, he's in his 30s now, but I remember when he was like a young teen and he refused to watch any black and white movie because he's like, they're old, they don't matter, whatever. And then one day he watched The Day the Earth Stood Still, and it just opened his mind to like all of these things that could be out there. And now he's definitely an aficionado. He will seek out like interesting films, stories, books, history. And I really think that like at that just the right time at the right place to see, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and show him that a black and white movie can have depth to it. And I was like, it's what it took.
No, man, it's like, I don't know, like I grew up in a Latino household. You guys did as well. And it's hard to kind of narrow that. You grew up with Spanish music, Spanish television. And then for me, music and film really took a hold of me when I was in my teens. And for me, it's when I started hearing soul music from like the 60s and 70s. That got me a hold of me, man. And my parents were like, what are you listening to? Like, we listened to covers of this in Spanish in El Salvador.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, this is the English version. And, I went that route for me. But for you guys, like what media or what thing kind of springboarded you? Oh, this is where I can pinpoint my start of like, this is why I like this stuff or why I enjoy this. For me, I would say like it was Otis Redding and Marvin Gaye, anything from Stax. You guys listening Stax Records? That got me. So.
Yeah.
I have a dumb reason for why I got into comics. I'm the oldest sibling, but I was the youngest of my friend group. And for whatever reason, they decided that we would play video games in order of oldest to youngest. And I was like, what? Fine. So while they would do that, I'd read comic books that were sitting on the shelf at my friend's house. And then I figured, my friend likes comics. And they were talking about this new thing called Ninja Turtles that was coming out. So so one day I'm out, on vacation with my family, and I see Ninja Turtles #1 on the shelf. And I'm like, I'm going to buy this and show it off to my friends that I got it before they did. So I did. And I showed it off, and they didn't care. But I was hooked now. So from that comic on, I never, left the industry. So
yeah, what about you? What kind of comes to mind in your vibe, your energy, in your, Elia-verse?
I'll circle back on my list. Azumanga Daioh. The manga itself, it's panel comics. And when I first started drawing comics, I was really like, these are just like little gags that tell one big story. And I was like, one day I want to be able to do that. And it's like, I don't have to, because I read so much manga. I was like way back at like, I don't anymore. I want to get back into it. I literally downloaded the manga app to my iPad because I'm like, I'm going to get back into it. But like back in the day, I would just read, and the art would be so detailed. And I'm like, I don't think I'll ever like be able to get to that level. And I might now, like now I might, but like Azumanga Daioh just kind of like, I got so attached to it because they're just little 4-panel comics per strip. And they made an anime series out of it. And I'm like, if I make a comic like this, because I made panel comics for a long time, I'm like, what if one day it gets picked into a show? Because like this did it. It doesn't have to be like the big illustrative stuff to make a story or a joke land. Like Azumanga Daioh was just it was so slice of life. It was so silly yet so real. And I think like that's what helped kind of motivate as well. Sticking with making my Ellie in a Box comic, which was the first webcomic I ever did. So yeah, it's all thanks to my weebiness that I just stayed inspired.
And we appreciate that weebiness.
Hey, Primos, want to take a short break here. In the meantime, you'll listen to a song by Sin Color. Sin Color has provided us some music for the show moving forward, so shout out to Sin Color. Check out at Sin Color Music on all social media. And this song is called Limonada.
Oh no.
You can't help yourself, can you, Elia? We're back, Primos. Thank you so much for your
Man,
patience.
that was good, man. I love that song.
She really tried. She really tried. She did it. She did it. But thanks for coming back, Primos. We are going to dive into our topic today, which is public domain, especially public domain regarding comic books.
Yeah, there's
Kevin.
so many comics out there. I hear people all the time talking about how they want to, download stuff for free legally, which I'm not a fan of. I feel like it hurts. People are like, oh, it doesn't hurt the big companies, but it does hurt the individual artists, But with public domain comics, there are just hundreds, thousands out there for free, legally, guilt-free. You can read. I go to this website, Comic Book Plus, all the time, comicbookplus.com, and I just scour through and read books from 40, 50, mostly 80 years ago, and there's so much with it.
So if I don't know what public domain is, what does that mean? Like, I don't know, like, yo no sé nada aquí. I'm just kind of like, is that free? Like, what does that mean?
So I talk about this with my students all the time. All right. So you have things like copyright and trademark and that kind of thing. And what happens is, it used to be that if you made something, you were an artist or a writer or a musician, whatever, you had to say, I am going to copyright this to myself, and you've declared it copyrighted and it's yours. And under the old rules, if you didn't do that correctly, you didn't own it, not permanently anyway. And if you let it expire, you didn't own it, So for example, the original Night of the Living Dead movie was not correctly copyrighted, so it went public domain the second that it was released by accident, And so once something's in the public domain, anybody owns it. You can make your own sequel to it. You can make your own retelling of it. You can republish it yourself. It's all good.
So, let me stop you there before you dive in, because you're gonna take it away. But is that why recently we've been hearing conversations about like Superman, right, being public domain?
Yeah. So
and Batman
the question
and Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. So for example, Mickey Mouse just went public domain this year. And when I say went public domain, it's not exactly as people think it is. Because for a lot of these public domain comics, they were pretty much only published in the public domain, or back in the day, rather. Some of them continued on, some of them got repurchased, and there were stories that are not public domain, so they're nebulous. But a lot of them only exist in that world. So if you wanted to take these characters and retell them, no problem. Mickey Mouse, however, is only public domain in the sense that his first two cartoons and material related to that are in the public domain. So you are more than welcome to take clips of that cartoon, or even play the entire thing.
Elliot, write this down.
Yeah,
we're making the Mickey Mouse cartoon.
No joke, Steamboat Willie is one of my favorites. So I was like,
there you go.
Yeah, but the problem is that that doesn't mean Mickey Mouse, the character, is 100% public domain, because Disney owns the trademark to Mickey Mouse as an image and as a name for use in, because when you trademark something, you can only trademark it for different products or whatever, and they've got it trademarked for everything pretty much. And plus, any later versions of Mickey Mouse are still under copyright. So if you were to make a new story starring Mickey Mouse, and it was longer than a couple panels, because I've seen a couple panel gags, Disney doesn't care about those. But if it's an ongoing story starring Mickey Mouse, and there's anything similar to later versions of Mickey Mouse, they could sue you over that. So it's tricky, By the way, I want to say one thing real quick about copyright before we move on, and that is, after 1976, you no longer have to declare it copyrighted. Now, post 1976, you made it, you own it. As long as you showed it publicly, you own it. But the difference is now, if you want it to be public domain now, you have to declare that. I do not want to copyright this and that kind of thing. So that's how you end up with things like the Creative Commons.
There you go. But because of this public domain, you have a Kickstarter coming out, don't you, Kevin?
Yeah, I do. I've been in comics for years. Like I said, I made my own comic, Theo, out back in the pandemic. And I wanted to do a superhero comic about the history of comics, basically. And we'll talk about that later. But because it was going to be a comic book about history, I wanted the characters to have a history. So every character in the book technically exists, earlier versions of them rather, in the public domain. I have made my own versions that would be under my copyright, but like, they're obviously continuations of those older comics. And I think it's cool that somebody could pick up, if it gets published and it gets succeeded as a crowdfunding campaign, they could pick up my comic and then say, I want to read more about these characters, and they could go do that. They could read more about those characters.
So I'm excited. I'm curious, and I have questions. So you mean that if I and you'll touch on them here, but if I dig one of your characters and I'm like, man, I wish I can find out more about them or lore, but the lore is going to be different, or is it actually, can I go back and read these old public domain comics and get lore out of that from that character?
I've slightly changed each of their names so that version of the character is my character, but I tell you where to go to find them. So like
Cool.
as far as I'm concerned, all their old stories were canon in some way. There may be things that don't ish. There may be things that don't make sense because in the 40s they would just throw everything at the wall and hope it sticks. And then there may be some things that are just don't age well. Maybe racially insensitive images or other things that are just like, that's not right. So those things are canon-ish. But for the most part, if I'm like, hey, here's where you can go to read more about these characters, it's the same character. I just slightly changed the costume and name and made it my own character.
Well, Kevin, what's the name of the comic? I mean, what is the campaign?
It's going to be World's War Comics. I definitely wanted it to look and feel like an old comic book. So I have I made a logo that's actually, I wonder if any comic book historians would look at my logo and be able to tell where the lettering came from for each of the parts of the name. But yeah, I have this logo, and
let's put that on the screen for everybody here. Let Kevin kind of lead us into it. And
yeah, this is kind of spoilers right now because officially my campaign launches on Valentine's Day. So what you're seeing right now is a preview. This is just what will be there. I may make some changes between now and then, but you get the idea. But basically, I'm taking these old characters and reinventing them, and I'm doing that with the help of a lot of artists. I have Ronaldo Garza, who is a great artist who did this book called Tank McGregor, which is just a fun sci-fi romp that as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to know more about this. And when I was talking to him, he's like, I liked writing and drawing for myself, but I wish I could draw for another writer. And I'm like, you don't say. And then the colorist of Tank McGregor is providing the art for the color behind the art rather for it. And that is Michael Woods. He does this great stuff. So I actually have this. It's really fun seeing things go from the script to the pencils, to the inks, to the colors. And it's been a blast. I also have other artists that I've been working with, like Freddie Lopez Jr., who's going to be doing the cover. In fact, I have what's on the screen right now is not the final cover. The final cover looks amazing. I'm going to post that up. This looks amazing too. I'm not saying it's not amazing. All this stuff is amazing. But like, yeah, it is what it is. And then I have other artists like Kerry Callan, who he did a comic book called Halo Sprocket, and he did a lot of joke comics of like 1940s and 50s characters that just they went viral really quickly to the point that people see his comics and think they're real comics from the 40s, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe Wonder Woman said that." And like, she didn't. It's a joke comic. I have Marcus Newsom, who did a great indie comic called Lightning Strike. He's just got this very dynamic energy to his art, so I was really excited to have him do some art for me. And then David Lujan, who did he's doing his own comic called Nerida right now for a company called Lesser Known Comics, and he just said, "Hey, I can do some of these characters." I said, "I'd love to have you do it," and it just blew me away what he did. So I'm like, you know what, I need to include this stuff. So yeah, all these characters are characters who started out in the public domain. I've evolved them and changed them. There's a character, for example, called Yankee Doodle Jones back in the 40s, who he was bald-faced, a Captain America ripoff. That's all he was. Like literally, there was a science experiment. Scientist gives this blonde guy, powers to become the ultimate patriot. Scientist gets killed by Nazi spies, and then, shenanigans.
Must have happened a lot in the 40s, right?
But here's the thing, though. His story is a little bit different from Captain America's because there was no scrawny kid that got injected to become Captain America. Instead, there were 3 wounded veterans who volunteered their bodies to science. He then took them apart and put them back together again as one person.
He's a Frankenstein.
Oh. And you would think, oh, this is going to make a monster. But no, literally he pops out from behind the curtain. All right, Doc, I'm ready. Like, and he's just a handsome blonde guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
surgery was a success.
Yes. And then he gets injected with invincibility serum. So now he's basically the Shield.
He's a zombie.
And then, yeah, he's a zombie who is invincible, but he doesn't look like it. He looks attractive. And so I've taken Yankee Doodle Jones and relabeled him yeoman, Yankee. So all of the characters are basically that, where I've taken a character and then evolved them a bit. You know, some of them, like the fairy in here was known as Farah, the living goddess. She only had 2 pages ever, 2 pages, and I'm turning her into one of my main characters.
Oh, yeah.
Another character was originally called Wonder Man, and I can't call him Wonder Man because, you know, Marvel, but he is the first Superman ripoff, and I say that with complete confidence because DC sued the company the second the first issue came out and said, you can't make that, it's too similar, and they lost. So he only ever got 1 issue, and I've turned him into Sergeant Wonder. His issue was drawn by Will Eisner, which, if you know anything about comics, the Eisners are the Oscars of comics. So he's one of the first characters created by Will Eisner, and I turned him into my Superman, basically.
I am fascinated with
like that.
The name of the Margician.
Well,
Margician.
To talk about her, I really want to talk about the old comics themselves.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Kevin
Yeah.
Garcia. Let's dive right in.
Yeah, well, the Margician, as I call her, is actually known as the Margician. Sorry, I can't say it now. Is the magician from Mars? I've been saying Margician so much that it's become like my phone recognizes it as a word now. Yeah, but she was actually called the Magician from Mars, and she is considered by most historians to be the first. I hate to use the word superheroine because I hate the idea of gendering hero, but she's the first woman superhero in comics. There were other powered women in like pulp.
What year was this?
19. Well, actually, I was going to say 39, but that's not right. It's 40, isn't it?
40.
Nope, 39.
I have a different issue.
Yep, 1939. 1939.
Yeah.
So 1939, and there were other women with powers before her, but they were either sidekicks or they were in comic strips, not comic books, or they didn't have a costume. And she did have a costume. It doesn't look like it here, but in this issue itself, at the end of the issue, she puts this clothing together, looks in the mirror, and goes, "Now I look like the magician from Mars." And I'm like, sure. But by the 3rd and 4th issues of her storyline, she does have a red costume, and by her last issue, she has a different red costume. So what I did is I just combined those costumes to make the one that we have in the comic. But it's just, I find her fascinating because aside from being the first superhero woman, she also has she's unique in that there has never been a hero. Let me phrase that. Never been a mainstream hero. I'm sure there's been plenty of indie comics like her. And by that, I mean this. So she goes through her adventures. First off, immediately upon realizing she has powers as a child, she can wish ice cream into existence, make toys fly on the wall.
Best power ever, man.
And then after she says to herself, literally, "I can destroy time and space." And she says it excitedly. But after, throwing cars around, as she can do, she goes to Earth from Mars and decides, I need to fix things. So in her second story, she meets a man who was trying to jump off a bridge into the river, right? And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And it turns out he was an architect, and his entire career was built around one project, and it would make or break his entire life. But a greedy politician and a greedy New York real estate tycoon conspired to make the whole thing collapse just so they could make a buck off of it. And that was going to ruin his career. So when she found out, she says, "Well, do you mind?" She looks at his blueprints, waves her hand, and the skyscraper gets built. So then the real estate tycoon runs up and goes, "Hey, that failure was going to make me so much money. Why'd you do that?" And she literally punches him into the stratosphere. And then the architect's like, "Wait, are you sure that's what you're supposed to do?" She goes, "Don't worry." And as he falls back down, she punches him up again because some people deserve that. But then in the next issue, there's a guy while she's walking down the street, thinking she's already kind of famous by this point. She's already saved a lot of people and she's in the news. But this guy just walks up to her, doesn't know who she is, pulls a gun out, and he's like, "Look, just give me all your money." And she looks at him and she thinks to herself, this guy doesn't want to be doing this. He's doing this because life forced him into an uncomfortable situation. He needs a better way out. So she literally waves her hand and his gun becomes a wad of cash. And he starts crying. He can't believe somebody's helping him. And then he runs off to go fix his life. This is a very different superhero. She is as powerful as the Phoenix or Scarlet Witch, but she cares about humans and not about
And the root of all problems instead of just the problem itself at face value. I love that.
Look at the last page of her first appearance. She steals $3 million in gold from Mars. We don't really say why. It's kind of weird. But she gives half of it away. The second she gets to Earth, she looks at people and she goes, this guy's studying infant mortality. I'm going to give him $1.5 million. In 1939.
Yeah.
In 1939, she gave $1.5 million to a guy studying infant mortality. Wow. So I immediately said I had to include her in the story.
Yeah.
So she is
cool.
a major part of the story.
She can create ice cream out of thin air. I mean,
right. Freddie was like, I was already on board. Like,
Kevin doesn't like ice cream. Remember? So I don't know why.
Revealing my dark secrets.
Kevin Garcia, you need to allow her.
Yeah.
To make ice cream. I don't want you to just
and she's going to give it to somebody, and that other person's going to be like, I don't like ice cream.
I will boycott this. I'm just kidding.
Yep, done.
No, I'm kidding.
Game over.
All right, let me show you. This is my redesign of the Marsgician, redrawn by David Lujan. So I think he did an amazing job of taking, because this is exactly the way I designed her. I took the costume from one of her or two of her appearances, and then the shoulders and hat from another one of her appearances, combined them together, and it just came out perfect. I even
stylized, man.
I even love that. Yeah, that's not where I meant to zoom.
Tone.
I'm trying to zoom.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to zoom on her face. It's not working.
No, you're doing great.
I mean, Kevin, it's okay, man.
There we go. He even has like I don't know why her eyes are glowing, but it really works.
Yeah,
it does work. I dig it, man. I dig the color scheme. I mean, are you gonna keep that color, the yellow and the?
Yeah, that's the color scheme. That's. Oh, you mean with the dots stuff? The Bende dots. That's just his art style. That is going to show up throughout the book in different things. We're gonna have flashbacks and stuff, but like, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to look at some of these different, Golden Age public domain characters and just kind of share some of what I love with you guys. Did you guys have a chance to read any of these books and check out some of the stuff I talked about?
Yeah, I went through the Fantastic Comics with what's his name? Hold on.
This guy?
No, hold on.
Not
I went through Amazing Comics. I was watching
Fantastic. This guy.
Yeah. So So the guy on the cover, the guy on the cover is Samson.
Samson. Yeah.
And his whole deal is just he's tall and strong. That's his whole deal.
Yeah. I was done.
If I recall correctly, his origin is that his dad just raised him to be really strong and tall.
Yeah.
And
if only, guys. If only.
He ends up getting a sidekick. His sidekick is a teenage boy who is also tall and strong, and he goes by David because they have to have that biblical name. But of course, he's just like ridiculous. Like, you see how strong he is. He literally just grabs a dive bomber out of the air and throws it
out of the air
because that's just how strong. And again, how to get that strong? Good exercise and healthy eating.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally
you too can be a superhero.
It's the One Punch Man origin of power. See that?
Yeah,
knowing is half the battle.
One of the panels that cracked me up was, for years, peace reigned in Europe. And I was like, I'm sold, because that's fantasy. I was like, done, I'm sold.
This is fake. Let's dive right in.
Favorite kind of fantasy.
well, the reason that I mentioned this was not Samson, although I do like Samson a lot, is because there's a character who shows up in the same issue who is infamous among Golden Age comic fans as being one of the weirdest, and that is Stardust, the Super Wizard, because Fletcher Hanks. There's whole books written about Fletcher Hanks. He was a artist writer in the 30s and 40s who was interesting. We'll say by all accounts from his family, not a great person, but he did let everything that came to his brain show up on the page. Like there was no filter. So like Stardust, his powers are whatever he needs to do today. That's his powers. So there'll be issues like he just appears out of shadows, and then he will just make all things suddenly not have gravity, or he will grab somebody by the spine and squeeze them, or he'll leave everybody who's evil and just have them float for a while, just to float. Or maybe he's like, you know what? Let's make them skeletons now because they were bad guys anyway. or he'll be like, there's one issue where he like turns the guy into nothing but a head and feet. And he's like, that's what you get for being a crime boss, and walks away.
Damn.
And the guy's like,
period.
what the hell am I supposed to do now? you know. And it was just so weird. And then along that lines, there's another creator, Basil Wolverton, who later on got known for doing some really, really out there comics. But some of his early work was just, you could already see his weirdness kind of show up in the book, you know?
I love this illustration style so
The
much.
color, the art.
I know.
It pops. There's a reason they called it 4-color comics, because back then there were really just 4 colors you had to choose from, and you could only mix and match with those 4 colors.
I promise you need to go watch the YouTube of this, or if you have Spotify, it'll be a video too. But you're missing out. You gotta watch this too, because this art is great.
So gorgeous. Yeah.
The other one I really want to show you guys, though, is somebody called The Eye. Now, this guy doesn't fit into my story right now, although he's so much fun. A lot of other creators have used him as well in other books. Don't
tell me anything, because I haven't read it. Don't tell me anything.
No,
when I see The Eye sees, you will tell me. I know you will, Kevin.
Yeah, okay. Tell me, what do you see? What do you see when you see The Eye?
The mal de ojo. Like, that's what I recall. Like the cursed eye, the evil eye that curses you. Am I anywhere near that neighborhood?
You are 100% correct. But let me ask you a question. When you hear mal de ojo, right? How do you visualize it appearing? Like, is it a person who stares at you?
I think it's a person that stares at you and curses you.
Okay.
And it gives you that, like...
So here's where the eye is different. The eye is not a person who stares at you. The eye is literally just an eye that sits there, that floats there, like out of nowhere. It's like the size of a basketball. And it's just like here, like, for example, I'm just going to draw him here. This little boy has got captured by the mob and they tied him up. What a fine pickle. I wonder, what's that thing? I am the Eye! I witnessed your courageous resistance, and I am here to help you. But first, you must be freed. Gee! And I'm just like,
gee!
Now listen closely to my instructions. And that is the way all of the Eye's stories go.
I love it.
It is just like, okay.
I'm always going to hear your voice now, just in that,
I know, right?
tone.
You have to. You have to. That's how it works.
He's
you
like,
have to have
he's like a biblically accurate cornea.
Yes.
I love it.
He is.
There
he
you
is.
go.
So, and he has no origin, by the way. He has no origin. He just exists. So here is this crime boss, you know, and he's got a one of his men named Spaghetti, because of course he does. And there's a woman who works for him that doesn't like working for him, but she doesn't really have a choice. So she's like, what am I going to do? And as she's sitting there thinking about it, oh, Spaghetti killed that poor Nikki. But what can I actually? No, I should read this. You need to read this. Please read this for me. Elia, could you be this woman?
Oh, Elia has great voice.
Her name is Betty Betts.
Elia.
Spaghetti killed poor little Nicky. But what can I do? He runs this town.
You can do something.
Her face.
Whoa.
Just like, I love that he just appears. Like, she's getting dressed.
Go back. Go back where it says, would I? Because the eye.
Wait, we're not there yet. Hold on. No man is too big to escape justice. No, Betty. Not even Spaghetti. He killed your brother. He has killed many others. I admired you for your brave stand today in the gangster stronghold. Would you like to see Spaghetti behind bars?
Would I?
Oh my!
It's just, and it goes on like that. It's
look at those lashes, though. They really gave the eye some lashes.
So the Eye's powers are much like Stardust. Anything he needs to do, he can do. But he does it by, you know, being a giant eye. So he turns people into salt. He makes planes just suddenly not work in the air. Whatever he wants to do, he does. But he only does it if he sees evil happening. And it's
I think we need to make Betty a reoccurring character, Kevin. If we can have anything to do with your Kickstarter, Betty needs to be in it, and Elia
like a one-liner.
Like
would I just shows up in the background? Like, golly gosh.
You know? Like, would you like to see somebody die a horrible death? Would I?
Would I?
Would I? Oh, goody.
So yeah, these are just some old comics that I love.
I love
and I'm just
it.
going through and reading some of the weirdness. Freddie, you said you liked Captain Science. What was it you said you liked about that guy?
Captain Science. I love the artwork, first of all. And secondly, like, I love, like, sci-fi has so many layers, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that it looks like a Johnny Quest cartoon to me, you know?
Yep, and this predates Johnny Quest, but it's the same basic setup. Scientist, little kid sidekick, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, man. So I was so pumped because I love Johnny Quest. and Venture Brothers after that because it's a whole different, campiness. But this took me back to those old school. I don't know what you call them. I used to read them in Spanish. There were these little like
Adventures.
square little, yeah. There you go, just like that. And so it threw me right back to that, and I really dig the story, the aliens, and just everything about it.
You mentioned the artist. This is Wally Wood. He's considered to be one of the best artists ever from the 40s to the 50s. I don't Google Wally Wood Disney poster. Don't do that. Just don't.
Damn it, I'm doing it right now.
But Wally Wood, yeah, he had a dirty mind, but he was a really, really good artist. And this comic was Captain Science, and it was a very kind of a mediocre comic when it first came out. And then Wally
Why
Wood,
is it $1,000?
For I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. Don't Google it. But yeah, Wally Wood took over this mediocre comic, and he put his special bit of art into it.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I found a blacklight version. So
Yep.
Oh wow!
I just didn't know Daisy Duck had a mole.
I gotta say, when I read this comic before I looked at the credits, I was flipping through this comic and I go, "Why do I feel like Wally Wood drew this?" And if you look at the panel on the screen, you can see, oh, that's why I thought Wally Wood drew this.
That's why.
He's got an eye. But I do want to say something interesting about Captain Science that I think is just nuts. Is that he's got the same origin as Hal Jordan Green Lantern, but 10 years earlier, almost 10 years earlier. The origin is, he's out in the desert and a spaceship crashes and Alien says, "I'm dying, but I choose you to be the next one." He gives him a big handheld device and says, "You're going to be the next hero. You're going to be Captain Science." It's the same origin, right? But the difference is that he had a little teenage boy with him because he was a teacher and the boy's parents had just died. So he's taking him camping, as you do, I guess. And the alien makes the boy pass out. And Captain Science goes, "Well, what about the boy?" And the alien says, "Don't worry. While he's asleep, I'm conditioning his mind so that he will want to help you with your adventures. And since his parents died and left him a lot of money, I'm leaving a suggestion in his brain that will make him want to donate all that money to you so you can build a laboratory." And I'm like, this is the hero?
Science.
That's some big brain stuff. Yeah.
So Captain Science is in my comic book.
Nice.
But I call him Dr. Science.
Dr. Science.
Yeah, and
Dr. Science. So Kevin, when does this launch? When will we be able to, go on there, support you, have the Primos show up?
So I am running this World's War Comics with an S. I realize that's confusing, but it's also a URL that I've owned for years because I wanted to do this comic book for years. And I'm going to launch the crowdfunding campaign on February 14th. I'm going to launch it on Valentine's Day. It's going to run through the Ides of March, March 15th. So anytime during that time, if you're like, "Hey, I want to help somebody create a comic book," donate $1. Or if you want to be like, I want to have that comic book, donate more than $1, So it's something I've been looking forward to for a long time.
No, Kevin. Well, I am excited. I think all of us here, of course, are supporting, the work you're doing. I am excited because it's just the fact that we get to create, right? And we all have a hand in the fact that we can help you get there. And that's just what this community is supposed to do, right? We're supposed to lift each other up. And that's what we need to do. We want to move forward and just support Kevin Garcia, everybody. So definitely stay tuned. But this episode launching, it will be live. So definitely go check out worldswarcomics.com.
Mm-hmm. You can also just search for World's War Comics in Kickstarter. It'll be right there.
Elia, you also have an event going on this week.
One that is more altruistic than mine.
A little more.
Yes, a little more. So every year for the past couple years, I've been doing a charity stream every around Valentine's Day. This year I'm doing it a little more February focused, but I call it the Cursed Tea Party. And what I like to do is I partner with the American Heart Association to raise money, and I draw hybrid toy creations, kind of based off of Sid's room in Toy Story. And I draw them all at a tea party together. And so for every donation over $10, people can either have me spin a wheel of toys or they can submit their own creation. And I draw everyone together at a tea party, and all funds go towards the American Heart Association. Yeah.
It's fun. Me and my son participated last year as well.
Yes.
And
Well, now I feel bad running a crowdfunding campaign because that's more valid. I'm sorry.
Okay, so here's the thing: you donate to the comic, then you go donate to the American Heart Association.
People that really need
Yeah.
it. You know what, Elia?
Definitely.
Your heart's in the right place.
Stop.
But there it is, everybody.
I will
but
say
also
though,
Elia.
yeah, one thing about the American Heart Association, because I'm partnering with the Latine Twitch group Café Cultivar, and one thing that the AHA has worked really, really hard on is making heart health resources more available to marginalized communities. They actually launched an initiative last year, which is why I'm a big let's do it. I'm all about supporting marginalized communities and having access to health, not just for the rich people. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I'm excited. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I watched Elia streams on Twitch and definitely supported. Me and my son did some suggestions in art, so it was fun. My kid did a cursed Tamagotchi, I think. That was
That's
fun.
right.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Elia, man, it's just so talented. It's fun, man. She makes it happen. And definitely go support Primos. It's a lot of fun. It's for a good cause. Definitely.
Yeah.
Kevin, we're getting close to the end of the show here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing that we kind of started talking about as a new season, right? We all consume different things, and we have a lot of different obsessions, if you will. We tend to kind of aferrarse a algo. And one thing that I'm obsessed with, so ended with this stuff here, is Kevin Garcia had a rat tail, and
So
you need to elaborate.
I feel like this is
photos.
becoming a new trend where you're going to find some dark secret about me, and then you're going to become obsessed with how weird it is.
You're like
First,
you're new
it was the ice cream, and okay, so yes, I had a rat tail for a good chunk of my life, pretty much from like age 9 or so, maybe younger, through about age 25. It was right in the square middle of the back of my head, and it went all the way down.
For those that don't know, a rat tail is
it's a little thin braid. You just want okay. So I had this way before Anakin did, but it's basically what Anakin was wearing on the side of his head.
Don't do that.
Because people were like, "Oh, you mean like Star Wars?" And I'm like, "I've had this since I was 9."
No.
You originated the look. Star Wars took your look.
Star Wars, okay.
But at its zenith, it was all the way from the back of my head to about almost my belt line.
Damn.
But the thing is this:
you wore the rest of it short in the front.
Yep, everything, but not in the front. Everything was short. So I tucked it into my shirt, so only my best friends knew it even existed.
What?
And
superpower.
And the funny part is, and I am fully will admit to this, everyone hated it. Everyone. But
I hate it so much. I love it.
But it was
I know.
It was mine.
Yeah, that's right.
I need it. I need to see pictures, okay?
Yeah, same.
So
hashtag Kevin's rat tail.
I cut it off years
Kevin's
ago,
rat tail.
and I was at an event, and I gave it to my dad to hold on to for a minute. And then at the end of the night, I came to my dad, and he's like, was I supposed to hold it somewhere?
He burned it.
Wait, no. No, you don't understand. He doesn't do that stuff on purpose. He just didn't know where it went. So for years, I was like, well, I better grow a new one just so I have one to keep. And all my friends were like, no. And then
it became sentient and ran away.
15 years later, a friend of mine goes, oh, yeah, I have that. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I took it as a prank. Here you go. And he gave it back to me. So his idea of a prank was
don't tell me it's sitting on your shelf somewhere.
It's in a drawer. I gotta dig it out.
Don't play. Kevin Garcia.
I'd have to find it.
This is where we're gonna put a picture of it later. Yeah.
It needs to happen. Right here. And we edit.
Okay, if you cut to another song, I will look for it.
We can cut
We'll
to
be right
another
back.
song.
I looked for it, can't find it. It's somewhere in this house. I got nothing. But
Well,
I could grow a new one.
Yeah,
don't do that.
go for it. When you hit 10,000 on TikTok, you have to start the next one. So
Ooh,
everybody, go follow
Let's do that.
Kevin Garcia on TikTok.
Follow Kevin Garcia, guys.
I know my partner will kill you for that.
I'm sorry.
But I will say my hair grows fast, so
I'm jealous.
Well, let's see what happens. Well, I wanted to end the night, guys, with something that we're really into right now, hyper focused on, to close it out for the Primos here for the first episode of the season. Since my obsession is Kevin's rat tail. But no, seriously, I am reading I don't know if you guys were fans. You were both kind of gamers, but BioShock came out 10, 15 years ago, and they released a novel like around the same time called Rapture. And it's pretty much the history of Rapture being built and Andrew Ryan and the lore behind it and how it became what it was. And it's just so in depth, so well written. Definitely check it out. It's a blast. It's just look at BioShock Rapture, and it's literally the library. It's awesome. So definitely check it out. Kevin?
I am looking at there's 2 cartoons that I've been watching over the past week that I am not only really into, but also my circle is also constantly talking about. And they are on 2 ends of the spectrum. One end we have Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, although Devil Girl does show up. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur season 2 just dropped on Disney, and I don't know how, but with every episode from season 1 to 2, it has just continually gotten better and better and better. And it started amazing. It is wholesome. It is adorable. It is good for kids, good for adults. It is so much fun. And the songs are infectious. But the other thing I'm watching is also a cartoon, and it is not for children, and it is called The Has-Been Hotel. And it is very good. And the songs are also infectious. They're both musical, the 20, 30-minute long episodes, but similar in art style maybe, but that's about it. But they're both really good.
Yeah, I was on a panel with someone who did storyboard work for the original cartoon.
Nice.
Yeah, she's really cool.
What about you, Elia? What are you hyper obsessed with right now?
So besides One Piece, I'm in the Wano arc right now, and we just got to the episode where the dub in English ended. So we're now in the Japanese episode. We're like 30 episodes from Joy Boy, for anyone who knows what that means.
Yes.
So that's my One Piece journey right now, because we're trying to catch up so quickly. But also on Netflix, there's a show called Delicious in Dungeon, I think is the name of it.
I've only watched 1 episode so far, but I liked it.
Oh my god, it's so cute. We watched a couple, and then we decided we're gonna wait till it all comes out, because I'm a binger. So we're gonna wait till it all comes out and then watch it all at once. But that's one of the other shows that we've been kind of like trickling, but we're really trying to like plow through One Piece so we can just be done. Because now at this point, it's like any show is not long to me, because I've hit 1,000 episodes. And one side obsession thing with One Piece right now, on my TikTok, which is dumb, is I have matched all 26 openings and sync them to a Pitbull song.
I've been sharing your openings with people, because I'm still on Alabasta right now, so I've got a ways to go.
Hey.
But I have friends that are deep into it, and I've been sending them that, because your anime openings are good.
So good.
Your anime openings are good.
Some of them are a little miss more than hits, but the one that I'm uploading tomorrow, which is Friday, the whatever today is, my phone won't tell me the date, the 9th.
Yeah, Friday, the whatever today is.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, tomorrow I'm uploading my favorite one, which is opening 11. So It'll be up by the time y'all hear this, so go listen.
Go listen. But before we end the night, Primo, thank you guys for listening. Of course, want to give a big shout out here for projects. Of course, Elia is go ahead and talk about your stream coming out. It's on the 16th.
Yes,
correct?
Yeah, that'll be
Of
the
February.
first one, and then I hope, fingers crossed, that there's overflow needed from all the donations. So I'll be doing a second part at the end of the month, and probably like a couple more throughout the month. But I'll be taking donations all through the month of February for Cursed Toy illustrations and just donating to the American Heart Association.
And what's your socials so everybody can find you?
I am Spiced Illustrations across everything except Twitter because I couldn't have all the characters, so I'm just Illustrations there.
Awesome. And Kevin, let's talk about the Kickstarter and of course where everybody can find you and your comic book.
I am found on TikTok or Instagram at Kevin Garcia _com. Also technically KevinGarcia.com, although like you said, I need to get that site fixed. I am technically on Twitter. I just don't use it. I don't
Yeah.
But I think that's also at Kevin Garcia _com. I need to double check that. I'm not actually certain. But yeah, my comic, worldswarcomics.com. And I'm super excited about it. Starts on the 14th. I actually just got the final cover by artist Freddie Lopez Jr., who does some amazing sci-fi and fantasy art. I told him as soon as I knew this project was going to happen, I approached him and I said, Freddie, you are the only person that I want to do this cover. And yeah, take a look at that, man. It's just,
oh my God.
Yeah, this is the character we've been talking about. You got Dr. Science there, aka Captain Science. We got Mars Magician, aka the Magician from Mars. We've got Yankee Doodle Jones, who has become the Yeoman Yankee, and so many others. So I'm just super excited. The whole goal of the cover here was to make it look like a propaganda poster from World War II, and I feel like he captured that entirely.
Absolutely, with like a modern twist. I love it. It's like
that is
I
so
want to
cool, Kevin.
run
I'm
with
excited,
them.
Man.
Yeah,
you want to run
exciting.
with the crew.
I want to run.
Well,
with
guys,
them. I can't run.
I'm gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Elia, look at the beginning and at the end. You always get me, right?
I didn't know.
We're wrapping it up, guys. It's the end of the show. We got more to say, but we got tons of episodes to get that done in. And of course, Primos, I am Freddie. The show, you can follow us at My Primos Podcast, myprimospodcast.com. And as always, Primos, no matter where you're from, just know we're all Primos.
We out!